It works. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's certainly a pleasure and an honor to be part of this Congress, Sport for All. It's been very close to my heart since I joined the Commission some years ago now. Well, I believe it's certainly not to me to do an exhaustive review of the technical part of Sport for All. But I certainly can tell you a number of things. I will try to concentrate in the conclusions of the last Congress, last year in June. I would like to discuss the most relevant, in my opinion, with you, and take some conclusions, which are all of them in my presentation based on that there have been many Congresses, many studies, many work done by scholars, from scholars to scholars. I think that our responsibility is that we leave Beijing 3 days from today with concrete actions going forward. Well, as I said, we had the Congress in Helsinki in Finland last year. It was a big success, 600 people there. And there we centered the problem in one sentence. That is very important. I mean, really to get all this complex sport for our world into a sentence. That is the declining and inadequate levels of physical activity, with all that implies. Certainly a major risk factor for chronic diseases, obesity, and especially the inactivity during the early years of life is a major contributor to all that situation. Well, as I said, the Congress declaration from Finland urged the sports movement to implement direct action, and that is what I just already said. This is and is all of us our responsibility that we leave Beijing with some concrete actions to do. This is not, as I said, scholar-to-scholar stuff. At the same time, and in combination with the results of Finland Congress, the University Camilo José Cela has done a study that is at everybody's disposal in the IOC website that doesn't try to be extremely innovative, but what it does for a change, and it's very valuable, it has taken the studies, the work of many of you, of many scholars, and try to produce a synthesized result, something that could be workable. Well, the recommendations from Finland were clearly, easily organized in a number of levels that depends on the individuals. You have here the categories. It's not surprise, individual, family, school, local, and then government and non-governmental levels. I will not go through every one of them, but I will certainly try to highlight what some of us believe were the most significant and relevant results from the Finland experience. First, certainly at the individual level, it's obvious that the integration of moderate intensity physical activity in the daily life is necessary. Yeah, but how do you measure that? Well, if you read one scholar or the next, if you look people writing in the East or in the West, North or South, developed countries trying to develop, at the end of the day, 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity per day sounds like about right. It's always a problem, and 60 minutes is 1 hour out of the day. And this, in very developed countries for a reason, in underdeveloped countries for another one, in cold countries for a third reason, and in very hot countries for another reason, still are difficult to accomplish. However, that seems to be a certain agreement that that kind of level produces the desired results. Results. Okay. Family level. At family level, of course, there are many things that we can say, but the conclusion that everybody unanimously reached is that it depends certainly on the parents. The parents have to set the example. It's leading by doing, not by saying. That is the only way. Children that see us exercising will exercise themselves. One other important thing is that we have to respect, we have to know our children. We have to really respect and know what they are about. It's not trying to impose on them what we loved, what we liked, what we wanted to be. It's not us living our dreams through them. It's understanding what they are good at, what they thrive at, what they want to do, and try to encourage that they do the activities that they want to do. That will make the family effort towards physical education in our children much, much easier. And especially, never try to use physical activity as a way of punishment. It's like trying to mix an absolute good with an absolute bad. It doesn't make any sense. It creates only all sorts of reaction and resistance. At school level, we have to understand, and I understand, and we all do, that this is an extremely competitive world. We want all our children to go through university, land good jobs, and have a good and healthy and rich life, if I may say so. They want them to be successful in the competitive market of life. However, this we have seen in too many places, and the reports clearly indicate so, that this in many situations has been at expense of the hours of compulsory physical education at schools. That cannot be. I mean, certainly mathematics are very important, but they have to be in a healthy body. Healthy body. Well, okay, at school level, I continue with school level, I would say that the other critical word is collaboration. Collaboration between private and public sectors to provide access to the sports facilities. Many schools in many of our countries, they lack enough and sufficient infrastructure, so that collaboration between private and public is absolutely necessary. At local level, I would say that, of course, the local governments should promote the cooperation in the communities, schools, health centers, and families, as I say in the slide. There is another one that should be there, and maybe the most important, at grassroots level, which is clubs. Once the boys and girls start exercising, once they are families excited to do it and help them get involved, then it's more clubs than even schools that can create the adults of the future. That is the grassroots thing of society that has to be enhanced. And that is also partially responsibility of local governments. With local governments, it's also very important that they have to maximize, I say, the usage of sports facilities. They are the ones that own most of the infrastructure in our cities and in our villages. And that infrastructure, if you look hard enough, is close to the public for too many hours at the end of the day. That is a matter of no extra cost, it's a matter only of being efficient, it's a matter of being careful. It's a matter, like many other things in life, of just caring about it. Well, at non-governmental level, there are many things that have to be done, and I think that many of us are doing it. We have here a representation of a National Olympic Committee from the Netherlands. We have the Secretary General of the International Ski Federation. They will illuminate us with what they are doing. But I'm going to try to limit my contribution in that respect a little bit to the body, to to which I belong, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. We have been very closely in the Sport for All Commission working very hard on making sure that these recommendations you saw, are going to be monitored and implemented. We actually have a monitoring system that gives us the level of completion of those days. Would that not be enough? There are initiatives that have been presented this morning, like the one led by Patrick Chamunda, our colleague sitting here in the second row, I believe, of the Zambia Center sponsored by IOC. It's a combination of facility for general sports, for general public, for sports for all purpose, together with enhancement programs for top athletes of that country. The third, and I will refer to that in a minute, is the toolkit that the IOC is trying to implement, is trying to devise and finalize for all of you, for all of us to have a workable tool that can help us in that respect. Well, at government level, I would just to say that there are many things that they can do with the law book on their hands. I mean, they write the law, so they have to do lots of things. But more than laws, here what it takes is fostering public awareness. Their responsibility is to use their vast means to make sure that this message is heard by everybody. The message in itself is very powerful. It's easy to understand. The matter that we can ask from governments is that they make sure that the message gets through to everybody. Of course, they can create and they should create multidisciplinary working groups. They should do tax regulation. They should help with subsidies. But they could create a national obesity prevention agency and many other things. But at the end of the day, they have to care. As I said before, it's a matter of caring. We're in Beijing, in China, and here is a very good example of what caring means. Under the leadership of Minister Liu Peng, they have a strict program of monitoring how everybody in different levels of government go about Sport for All. They check if Sport for All is included in the working targets for next year. They check if the local authorities or authorities around the administration have a specific budget to execute. And lastly, they check in the annual reports of all those institutions whether they make reference to this. Lastly, dear Phil, the IOC has developed and is developing a Sport for All toolkit. The toolkit contains, and will be available to all of you, contains background information on Sport for All, an outline of the significant benefits of practicing sport and physical activity, recommendations from the most important recommendations from previous Sport for All conferences, key elements of Sport for All, a startup toolkit, how to get projects going, and a case study of successful projects around the globe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. This leads to, I hope that this leads for an interesting discussion. And as I said at the start, please everybody, let's concentrate before we go home in deciding what can we do, not what can we write, neither what can we read. Thank you very much.